for joining today's Bhakti Vaibhav class. So
Hare
in the
Krishna.
last, yes, Hare Krishna.
Nothing.
Okay. In the previous classes, having discussed how Lord Kapila described the path of bhakti, the path of jnana, and path of Ashtanga yoga, and then bhakti influenced by three modes, and bhakti beyond three modes, and different angas of bhakti, and then characteristics of time. Then, in order to describe karma, in order to describe the samsara of living entities, Lord Kapila is categorically analyzing how the people in general live in this world. The people in general are variously influenced by different modes, and especially if we see some people, if we analyze, who are prominently influenced by mode of ignorance, what kind of lifestyle they lead. That is described in chapter 30. And then, if somebody is prominently influenced by mode of passion, so what kind of lifestyle they will lead? That is described in chapter 31. And then, those people who are prominently in the mode of goodness, what kind of lifestyle they lead? That is described in chapter 32, which we will start today and we will discuss in the next week in great detail. So, we have seen the life of a person in the mode of ignorance. He does not analyze what is good, what is bad, just to maintain the family, just to get the happiness being with the family members. He works very hard. Still, he is not able to maintain. He takes to all the impious, illegal, unethical means to maintain the family. So, as long as he was youthful, he will be respected by the family members. But when he becomes old and invalid, when he cannot earn anymore, the same family criticize him. They feed him only leftover food, something like that. Eventually, he falls sick and bedridden. When he's about to die, even though he want to speak, but he could not speak, worried about how his family members are taken care, he will give up his body. As a result of his sinful activities, he will go to hell. He will go through punishment, and he will take birth in the lower species. Finally, having gone through punishment for most of his sinful activities, he will take birth through the womb of a mother, having entered into the mode of passion. Till now, he was completely in the mode of ignorance, but now he is entering into mode of passion prominently. Of course, there will be some little goodness also, little more ignorance also, but mostly the majority, 80% would be like passion. So, what happens to such a person? How does he grow in the womb of a mother? That is described. In case, of course, development has been described at the seventh month of pregnancy. The jiva starts remembering what he was doing in one's past 100 years, past 100 lifetimes. A karmi jiva thinks, okay, I have done this wrongly, this time I should do perfectly. And if one is practicing jnana yoga, he will say that last time I could not succeed, this time I should succeed. Ashtanga yogi also, he would say that, he would think that, I mean, last time I did not practice properly, this time I should practice properly and attain success. Similarly, a bhakti yogi also will think that last time I did not practice bhakti properly, this time I should practice bhakti properly and this should be the last life. So, like that, a bhakti yogi will think. So, since Bhagavatam is a book of bhakti, Bhagavatam talks about if a devotee jiva in the womb of a mother from 7th, 8th, 9th month, 3 months, what kind of thought process will go on in the heart? Matlab, that kind of devotee, not a so called devotee, but actual devotee. So, his wonderful prayers are described, which we saw in the last week, and that is only taking like giving an exception. But in general, majority will be like karmis, so they'll be thinking about their future enjoyment. And then during the 9th or 10th month, the Sutivata pushes the Jiva out of the womb. And the Jiva having come out of the womb of the mother, which is a painful process, the Jiva forgets all his memory, which he was remembering now while in the womb. He'll forget everything and he will fall on the ground like a ignorant and ignorant dumb person, and he starts crying and he will be taken care by the family members. So now, as an infant, especially from the first day onwards, during the first 1 2 years, what kind of difficulties the infant child go through, that are described in this first section from 22 to 31, wherein we saw that nourished by those who do not understand his desires and unable to protest, he falls into an undesirable condition. So basically, he will have stomach pain, he is crying. The mother might think, oh, he is feeling hungry, feed him. If he's really hungry, and the mother and the families might think that, so he might be having stomach pain, this pain, that pain, and they put medicine, bitter medicine. So in both the cases, in spite of getting medicine or milk also, he will be continued to cry because he's not getting what he want. And problem is that he cannot express also what is problem. So like that, he goes through misery. And now today we'll continue from 26 onwards. Saito suchi paryanke
सायितो शुचि पर्यंके
jantu swedaja dushitaye
जंतु स्वेदूषिते
nesha kanduyane gnanam gana
नेसकण्डु नेसकण्डूयने नग्ननम्
nesha kanduyane anganam
नेसकण्डूयने अङ्गानाम्
आसनोत्थान चेष्टने.
आसानोत्थानचेतने. Translation: laid down on a fall bed infested with sweat and germs, the poor child is incapable of scratching his body to get relief from his itching sensation, to say nothing of sitting up, standing, or even moving.
These are all problems. Laid an unclean bed, infested with insects, he is not able to scratch his limbs or sit or stand. So kindly understand, remember the background. We are discussing about a jiva who is primarily in the mode of passion. So if he is in the mode of passion, his surroundings also will be in the mode of passionate environment only. So from that point of view, think about it. His body is scratching. I mean, he want to scratch, but he cannot scratch. He will be crying only, and parents will think something else. So something like that. Sudanti atmatvacham damsha
Studanti Amatvacham Damsa
mashaka matkunadaya
Mashaka Matkunadayaha
rudantam vigatajnanam
Udantam Vigatajnanam
karmaya krimikam yata.
Kramaya Krimikam Yatha. Translation.
Hare Krishna, devotees kindly mute. We are hearing so many things.
In his helpless condition, gnats, mosquitoes, bugs, and other germs bite the baby, whose skin is tender, just as smaller worms bite a big worm. The child, deprived of his wisdom, cries bitterly.
Yeah, just as the big worms bite small worms, gnats, mosquitoes, and other bugs bite the baby with his soft skin, who cries in ignorance. Actually, there is a small change in the translation. Just as big worms are bitten by small worms, similarly, the big kid is bitten by small gnats, mosquitoes, and other bugs by the small baby with his soft skin. And as a result of that, he will cry. He cannot understand why he is getting pain. He cannot express that he is getting pain, and the parents also cannot understand why he is crying. So like that, he will cry. इति एवं शैशवं भुङ्क्त्वा
इति एवं शैशवं भुक्त्वा
दुःखं पौगण्डमेव वा एव च
दुःखं पौगण्डम् एव च
alabdhabhipsato jnanad
alabdhabhishto jnanat
iddamanyu sucharpitah.
iddamanyu sucharpitah. In this way, the child passes through his childhood, suffering different kinds of distress and attains boyhood. In boyhood also, he suffers pain over desire to get things he can never achieve. And thus, due to ignorance, he becomes angry and sorry.
Hmm. In this way, he passes through distressful infancy, Shaishavam, 0 to 5 years, because he can't express what he wants. So, and the parents also sometimes can't understand what he wants, so they mismatch. So, misery is there. And during boyhood, also during Pavanda state, 6 to 10 years, and then when his desires are not achieved in youth, he becomes overcome with anger and sorrow out of ignorance. And till 10 years, yeah, parents say and they listen. From 11th year onwards, he will also have his own desires. But parents say no. Everyone will say no, no, no. Then he has to fight. So he has something and parents say something else and there is a mismatch. He becomes inflamed with anger and inundated with grief. So like that. So slowly, starting from 11th year, the mode of passion starts manifesting in this personality. So before that, he was simply ignorant. He don't know what is what. He has to bear with the miseries. But 11th year onwards, he starts revolting. Why me? So something like that. So how does he revolt? They are all explained in the next verses. Sahadehena manena
Sahadehen manena
vardhamanena manyuna
vardhamanena manyuna
karoti vigraham kami
karoti vigraham kami
kameshu antaya chatmanaha.
kami suvantaya chatmanah. Translation. With the growth of the body, the living entity, in order to vanquish his soul, increases his false prestige and anger, and thereby creates enmity towards similarly lofty people. Hare
Hmm.
Krishna.
By anger, along with increasing bodily identity between 16 to 25 years and becoming full of desires, he creates quarrels with other lusty people, leading to his own destruction. Abhi 16 matlab college. There are always fights like that. So, what kind of problems will be there? There is a list. Kama, Krova, Loba, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Dambasa, Stane, Stane, Niyukta, Kariba, Ananda, Kari, Hridaya, Ripu, Kari, Parajaya, Anayase, Govinda, Bhajana. I will engage lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, envy, and pride in appropriate ways, and by defeating these enemies, I will feel happiness in my heart as I peacefully worship Govinda. A devotee will think like this, but otherwise, others they do everything to fulfill all these anarthas. So in that way, how does a devotee engage these things? Kama Krishna Karmarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dvechi Jane, Loba Sadhu Sangha Harikate, Moha Ishtalabe Vine, Mada Krishna Gunagane, Niyukta Karibe Yatatata. How does one devotee engages all these things? I will engage lust for offering it in Krishna's service. Anger I will direct toward those who are envious of the devotees. I will be greedy to hear the topics of Hari in the association of devotees. I will feel illusioned without achieving my worshipful Lord. I will be maddened while singing the glories of Krishna. In this way, I will engage these enemies in their proper places. So, a devotee in pure goodness can engage all these anarthas, but a person in the mode of passion will be driven away by these anarthas. So like that. So, further symptoms of Rajoguna. How? What else he do? What else he respond? What else this person do? Bhutai panchabirarabdhe
Bhutai panchabirarabde
देहे देहि अबुदोषकृत्
देहे देहि अबुतो सकृत्
अहं ममेति असद्ग्राह
अहं ममेति असद्ग्राह
करोति कुमतेर्मतिम्.
करोति कुमतिर्मतिम्. By such ignorance, the living entity accepts the material body, which is made of 5 elements, as himself. With this misunderstanding, he accepts non-permanent things as his own and increases his ignorance in the darkest region.
The ignorant foolish jiva in a body made up of the Panchamahabhutas constantly thinks in terms of I and mine, accepting the impermanent as permanent. Basically, bodily identification. Because the person mode of passion can't even think about I am Atma. That is very difficult. For them, everything is the body. His body is made up of 5 elements. However, he thinks that the body is himself and the objects belong to that body belong to him. He accepts impermanent things rather than the eternal things. Even the people in the mode of passion, even if they come to satsang programs, even if they go to temples, for them, all these places are meant to fulfill his desires. Yes, they are all meant for me. They are all meant for my enjoyment. So he is only conscious of his own enjoyment. He is not worried about others, good and bad, others' happiness or difficulties. He is simply completely immersed in his own happiness. That is the nature of people in the mode of passion. Tadartam kurute karma
Tadartam kurute karma
yadbaddo yati samshrutim
yadbato yati samsritim
yonu yati dadat klesham
yati tadat klesham
avidya karma bandhana.
avidya karma bandhana. For the sake of the body, which is the source of constant trouble to him, which follows him because he is bound by the ties of ignorance and fruitive activities, he performs various actions which cause him to be subjected to repeated birth and death.
For his body, that means for the comfort, for the pleasure of the body, he performs actions by which he becomes bound up and continues samsara. That body continuously gives suffering and becomes bound to karmic reactions by ignorance. Even though for whichever body one is working very hard, that is to give comfort and luxury and then pleasure to the body, one works very hard. That same body only continuously gives misery while living in this world in the form of diseases. And the same karmic actions in the form of reactions will bind one in this material world. So it is like that. This is what happens. A person in the mode of passion filled with so many material desires, in order to fulfill all those desires, he has to work very hard. And those activities, anyway, neither they give happiness, permanent happiness to one, even though one may get titillation, the temporary happiness, but eventually the same body will give pain in the form of diseases, old age, etc. And after death also, one is bound by the reactions and takes birth in various species and lower species, etc., again and again. So this is what happens. For his body, tadartham, he performs actions by which he becomes bound. That body continues to give suffering in hell and here. Even in the next life also, even the people don't take birth, they'll be born with all the difficulties. Matlab, their surroundings may not be so appropriate, so because they have done so many things in the long and past. As a result, they will get birth in difficult family situations. So in that way. That body continues to give suffering in the hell and in the next life also. Thus, the jiva becomes bound by karma through ignorance. By his foolishness, continues sinful activities. He continues to perform sinful activities. So this is how the life is going on for a person in the mode of passion. Then what? Further symptoms of rajas. यदि असद्भिर्पति पुनः
यदि असद्भिः पति पुनः
शिष्णोदर कृतोद्यमै
शिष्णोदर कृतोद्यमैः
आस्थितो रमते जन्तुस्
आस्थितो रमते जन्तुस्
तमो विशति पूर्ववत्.
तमो विशति पूर्ववत्. If therefore the living entity again associates with path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people, engaged in the pursuit of a sexual enjoyment and the gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before.
Yeah, if the living entity in the mode of passion continues to enjoy for the comfort of the body, for the pleasure of the body like this in his life by associating with sinful persons, with effort for satisfying the genitals and stomach, okay, he enters hell as before. So this is what it is. Even though there could be many sinful activities among various things, but for food we perform lot of sinful activities throughout our life. Because among the varied activities that we do in entire life, the eating food is the most prominent one. Every day we at least eat 3 times meal, and in between drinking water, drinking something else here, there, etc. So many things we do. People general they do. As a result of that, one performs more and more sinful activities in relation to food. So like that. Lord Kapila is saying. If the human enjoys his life in his life by associating with sinful persons with efforts for satisfying the genitals and stomach, he enters hell as before. So before means before taking birth in the mode of passion, he was in ignorance. That time he was in hell only. So like that, even now also, in spite of entering into passion, if he still continues to perform sinful activities, he will again go to same hell. As before, he will again get a body fit for hellish punishments and enter hell. This implies also that if instead associating with sinful people, he enjoys in his life with efforts for serving Lord Krishna, again he will attain Krishna. In that case, Purovat means as previously described for the devotee. So instead of associating with sinful people and perform sinful activities, if one associates with devotees and performs devotional activities, one no need to go to hell. So that is the solution. So what are the things that he will go away from? What are the good qualities and good activities this person, the mode of passion, will go away from? Satyam, Saucham, Daya, Maunam,
Satyam Saucham Daya Maunam
दयामौनम्
Buddhi, Shrir, Hir, Yashakka, Kshama,
Buddhi Sri
बुद्धिश्रीर्यस क्षमा
Samo, Damo, Bhagascheti,
मोदमो भगच्छेति
Yasangadhyati, Sankshayam.
यत्संगाद्यति संशयम्. Translation: He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities.
From that association, from the association of sinful people, the jiva loses truth, cleanliness, mercy, silence, intelligence, beauty, shyness, fame, forgiveness, control of mind, control of the senses, and good fortune. All these are destroyed. Satyam, Saucham, Dhaya, Daya is mercy, Maunam, Buddhi, Shrir, Shrir is beauty, Hrir, shyness, Yasha, fame, Kshama, forgiveness, or compassion, Sama, control of the mind, Dama, control of the senses, and Bhaga, good fortune. So total 12 qualities. All these 12 qualities are destroyed if we continue to stay in the association of sinful desires or sinful people. This is what happens. If we come in the association of devotees, these qualities will manifest and will increase. There is vruddhi in all these qualities. Thus, bad association destroys 12 very prominent good qualities. So then, you are telling that from that sinful association, but can you clearly define what do you mean by sinful association? Whom we should consider sinful and whose association we should avoid? Lord Kapila says in the next verse. In 3 verses, he talks about the sinful association. Teshu ashanteshu mudeshu
तेषु अशान्तेषु मूढेषु
kanditatmashu asadushu
खण्डितात्मसु असाधुषु
sangam na kurya shosheshu
सङ्गं न कुर्यात् येषु
yoshit kreda mrugeshu cha.
योषित् क्रीडा मृगेषु च. One should not associate with a post fool who is bereft of the knowledge of sense self-realization and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman.
One should not associate with violent, foolish, destroyers of the self, the sinful, the most lamentable people, the playthings of women. All these people are in the category of bad association. One who want to progress spiritually should stay away from the association of such kind of people. And a person in the mode of passion tend to associate these people and further degrade into mode of ignorance. Even devotees also, if they come in the association of all these people, we also fall down from mode of goodness to mode of ignorance. That is what will happen as a result of that. Khandita Atmashu, those who destroy themselves because of degrading themselves. Atma cannot be destroyed, but instead, by our sinful activities, we are degrading our own consciousness. So, in that way, we have to take it. Now, na tatasya bhavenmoho
न ततस्य भविन्मोहो
bandhaschanya prasangataha
बन्धश्चान्यप्रसङ्गतः
yoshis sangadyata pumsho
ओषित् सङ्गात् यथा पुंसो
yata tatsangi sangataha.
तत्सङ्गि सङ्गतः. The infatuation of bondage with occur to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women.
Yeah. Man's bondage and bewilderment is not due to attachment to objects. Objects like mobile, laptop, vehicle, home, land, other properties, bank balance, etc. There is attachment, there is possessiveness, but that does not cause so much bewilderment and so much bondage, which is caused by as much as it is due to his association with women and his association with men who associate with women. So, like that. Attachment with objects does not cause big bondage, but attachment to opposite sex and others who are attached to opposite sex that causes greatest amount of bondage. Even if one is attached to object, that object fails to give the expected happiness, one becomes detached from the object. But that is not the case with people, because there is a hope Okay, today this person may be like this, but tomorrow will be good, something like that. So, but in any case, Prabhupada writes in the purport that attachment with the objects is only one-sided, but attachment with the people is both-sided. Even one starts becoming detached, but other person does not let him go. So they pull him down. So like that, here Lord Kapila is saying that attachment to people degrade us so much so that attachment to the male, not attachment to objects is not so. So like that. So Prabhupada writes about it. Objects, fine. I mean, not good, but not so much. But they also have some bondage. They also create some bondage, but that is okay, manageable to some extent. But with the people, it is very difficult. Why it is difficult? Lord Kapila will explain next. Why? What is the problem? If somebody has attachment to people who are living with him, that Lord Kapila will tell in the next verses. So before that, any questions till now? Devotees?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Others?
No,
No,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. No.
No, Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji.
So now there is a fear invoking topic is coming. So kindly pay attention. Prajapati swam duhitaram
Prajapati swam duhitaram
दृष्ट्वा तद्रूपदर्शितः
दृष्ट्वा तद्रूपदर्शितः
रोहिद्भूतं सोऽन्वदावाद्
रोहिद्भूतं सोऽन्वाद्वात्
वृक्षा रूपीह तत्रपा.
दृक्षारूपी हतात्रपः. At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind.
What to speak of a living entity in the mode of passion? Even all the way up to Lord Brahma, the attachment to opposite sex, how it will bring one down. An example of Brahma is given here. Brahma, seeing his own daughter, basically Brahma's own creation. When Brahma was creating through his mystic potency, one by one was appearing. We saw this in the 12th chapter recently, in the third canto only. So the four Kumaras were appeared, then 11 Rudras appeared, 10 Manasaputras appeared, and then a few others appeared. In between, Vagdevi also appeared. At that time, this event happened. Brahma, seeing his own daughter, became bewildered. Here, daughter means his own creation because there was Brahma with the only one creator. So in that sense, all Brahma's creations are like Brahma's children. So in that way, seeing his own daughter, became bewildered by that form, and taking the form of a stag, devoid of shame, pursued her when she took the form of a dove. So I mean, this is like mundane intelligence. We can think like that. Initially, Brahma chased after her, but in order to protect herself, in order to run away from Brahma, she took the shape of a doe, and she was running fast. In order to chase after the doe, Brahma took the form of a stag and ran after her. That means, so even the greatly intelligent people also can be affected by these mundane traits. One should not say that a woman cannot bewilder the intelligence of a great soul endowed with discriminating knowledge. Even Lord Brahma, taking the form of a buck, pursued his daughter in the form of a dove. So, like that. So, if it can happen to Brahma, that means it can definitely happen to anybody else in this world. So, one should be careful. So like that. Then, what is the solution to come out of this? Okay, you have created fear, but solution should be there. There is a problem, there is a solution. The solution is mentioned in the next verse. Tasrishta srishta srishteshu
Tashrishtashrishtashristeshu
konva kandita dhipuman
konva akantita deepuman
Rishim Narayanamrute
Rishim Narayanamrite
Yoshit Mayeha Mayaya.
Yoshin Mayeha Mayaya. Among all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods, and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of woman.
So here, among the sons of Brahma, here in the previous verse, Prajapati is mentioned here. Prajapati means Lord Brahma. Tat means that Brahma. Tat Srishta means Brahma's creations. Among the sons of Brahma, such as Marichi, Atri, Pulaha, Kratu, and Tas Srishta Srishta, and their sons, such as Kashyapa and others, and Srishteshu, and their children. The Kashyapa's children were devatas, humans, animals, birds, beasts, etc. So among Brahma, Brahma's children, and their children, and all of us, among all of us, among those who do not worship Lord Narayana, which of them does not have their intelligence destroyed by Maya in the form of a woman? Brahma's creations, their creation, like that, all the way up to us. Everyone is a potential candidate to be bewildered by opposite sex, except those who become the devotees of Lord Narayana. Rishim Narayana Mrute, except those who worship Lord Narayana, all others, there is a possibility that they can become victim of opposite sex. So like that. So it is not a small thing. There it is said that among those created by Brahma, Tasrishta, such as Marichi, and those created by Marichi and others, Tatrishta Srishta, such as Kashyapa, and further descendants, Tasrishta Srishta Srishteshu, such as Devatas and humans, those persons who do not worship the Lord, Narayana, whose intelligence is not destroyed by Maya in the form of man. So like that. It is Maya herself comes in the form of opposite sex and bewilders any living entity all the way up to Brahma. The only solution is become the worshipper of Lord Narayana. Rishim Narayana Mriti. Only they can become immune to the onslaught of Kama. So like that. Then Lord says, see, this is the strength of my Maya. Oh, one may think that Maya is nothing. There is no Maya, but Maya has this much potency. She can bewilder anyone all the way up to Brahma also. In that way. Balam me pasya Mayaya.
बलं मे पश्य मायाया
Srimaya Jaino Disham.
स्त्रियमय्या जैनो दिशाम्
Ya karoti padakrantam
या करोति पदाक्रान्तान्
Bhruvijrumbena kevalam.
भ्रुवि जुम्रेण केवलम्. Translation: just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Hare Krishna.
One practical example is here. See the strength of my Maya in the form of woman who kicks the king into submission, for sure, by the movement of her eyebrows itself. A king may be a great emperor, but in the inner chambers, The king also becomes a Krida Mrugam in the hands of the woman. So, like that, in this verse, Lord Kapila is telling the power of my Maya. Even the king, conquering all directions, entering the inner chambers, is greeted by his wife as follows. Even the king goes on world conquest. When he comes back, his wife says that, giving me up, you go out to conquer and to enjoy other women. What a rascal are you? Like that, the woman says. Like that, Acharya says. Hinting this with a movement of their brows, women kicks the men who bow down before them in submission. One does not have to search out reason for the queen's action, for it is with certainty, Kevalam. So Lord Kapila is telling that no need to search for a proof. It happens like that, is telling. It is certain. So in that way. Even a king who conquers all directions but becomes a Krida Mugam in the hands of opposite sex. So in that way. So then now Lord Kapila gives the solution. If at all one want to progress in the spiritual life, so one should be careful with the association of opposite sex. And kindly remember, we are discussing in relation to a living entity in the mode of passion. So Jiva in the mode of passion, so they are always hankering after the association of opposite sex. So from that point of view, you have to see all these things. So sometimes you may think that okay, for devotees, how are we able to connect and all? So we are not talking about devotees who are in the mode of goodness, but we are talking about a person in the mode of passion. If at all this passionate person has to come out of the mode of passion and start spiritual life and progress in that, what kind of precaution he should take? Lord Kapila says now. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu.
Sangam na kuryat pramada sujato.
Yogasya param paramaruruksho.
Yogasya param paramarurukshu.
Masevaya pratilabdhatmalabho.
Matsevaya prati labdhatmalabho.
Vadanti ya nirayadvaramsya.
Vadantiya nirayadvaramasya. Translation: one who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Hare Krishna.
Neither the jnani striving for the perfection of yoga, okay, nor the devotee who has attained realization of Atma by service to me, must sevaya, unto Supreme Lord, should be ever attached to women, whom the wise say are the door to hell for any man. So I request all of you, we are discussing about a jiva in the mode of passion. From that point of view, we have to see. So one may think that that means a devotee should not have attachment to a devotee woman or like that. Not like that. This is you have to see. Why? Couple of verses later we'll understand what is the connection from these verses to the ultimately what is going to happen. So from that point of view, you have to see. And there is a case study about this also in the fourth canto. Whatever Lord Kepler is telling now, everything will be graphically explained in the fourth canto as a case study, as a story. So here, the reason is especially for a sadhaka, the Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, and Bhakti Yogi, if they want to attain perfection in their spiritual life, one should not be attached to opposite sex. There is a saying which says that a woman is woman for man, and one you may think that okay, in the last verses are all talking about very bad about women only. Why woman is kind of described in a derogative way in all these verses? One may think, but the concept is here the man means the enjoyer, the woman means the object that is being enjoyed. So from that point of view, it is applicable for both male and female. So not that okay, the scriptures are male prominent and male dominant. So they are always talking about like that, not like that. Can understand the concept behind it. So the proverb says, a woman is woman for men. For men, woman is the object of enjoyment. Same way, a man is woman for woman. For a woman, the opposite sex man is the object of sense gratification. So it is not that when the Shastra says woman, it is not talking about the woman per se, but whoever is accepting the other person as the object of enjoyment, they are considered as women in the Shastra. So men considers women as the object of enjoyment, women considers men as the object of enjoyment. In that way, both are there. So from that point of view, we have to see this verse. So like that. Because of this, neither the jnani aspiring to attain liberation, paramparam, nor the devotee who has realized Atma should have attachment to women. Here, woman means object of sense gratification. If a devotee woman should not be attached to male, if a devotee man should not be attached to female, on the platform of bodily identification, on the platform of material enjoyment. So, like that. There could be attachment on the spiritual platform. That is there. That is what it is. Desiring to be in the association of devotees. So the devotees could be male or female devotees, but being in the association of devotees. But the thing is that, but on the bodily platform, one should be careful. So in that way, this particular section is describing. According to the logic of the person lying down cannot fall any further. If one is a karmi, then it is not a fault to associate with women on the bodily platform. Especially those who want to progress in spiritual life by becoming a jnani or ashtanga yogi or a devotee should be careful while associating with opposite sex on the bodily platform. But for karmi, it is not prohibited because karmi is already on the ground. Where else you will fall down? So like that. So that is how the injections are indicated. Maybe you can appreciate these verses. Couple of verses later, why it is said so. 2-3 verses later, we'll see the whole picture becomes clear. Yopayati shanirmaya
Gopayanti sanirmaya
yoshit deva vinirmita
yosi deva vinirmita
tam ikshetatmano mrutyum
tam ikshita mano mrutyum
trunai kupam ivavrutam.
Rene krupa ivavritam. Translation: the woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grasses. Hare Krishna.
The Maya in the form of opposite sex created by the Lord approaches the man gently. One should see her as death, like a well covered with grass. Here, death means spiritual death. By too much attachment to opposite sex on the bodily level causes spiritual death. So, in that way, knowing one's detachment, the woman shows off her own lack of desire and approaches him in the guise of service. She then becomes a source of disturbance. Initially, the object of sense gratification comes as if without any attachment, but eventually takes away everything. So, in that way. So, this is what I was saying. A woman is woman for a man, and a man is woman for a woman. Therefore, no one should even go near that woman who is considered as a blind well. Blind well externally seems to be like a nice, flushy green grass area. But as soon as you step on it, you will fall into deep dark well and you don't know how to come out also. So that's how it happens. Whether one is completely indifferent, having bhakti, jnana or vairagya, whether one is unconscious from madness or sleeping, or even dead, one should avoid women. One should avoid the blind well completely. In all circumstances, one should stay away from this blind will. That means associating with opposite sex purely on the platform of material sense gratification. That should be avoided. So, in that way. Just as a woman is the cause of problems for the man with bhakti and jnana. So here, when it is said that knowing one's detachment, there is already some detachment, matlab, this man is trying to become a devotee, or trying to become a Ashtanga yogi, or trying to become jnana yogi. Even in that person's life also, the woman comes very humbly, and eventually sucks that person completely, like a blind well sucks in one person. So this is for a person like this. Same way in the opposite case, just as a woman is the cause of problem for the man with bhakti or jnana, man is a problem for a woman with bhakti and jnana. That is explained in next two verses. So till now, though the verses have been discussing saying that okay, the woman is the cause of the problem to man. Same way, the man is the cause of problem to woman who is trying to progress spiritually. So in that way, Lord Kapila completes the loop. यां मन्यते पतिं मोहान्
यां मन्यते पतिं मोहन् Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we are not able to listen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we are not able to hear.
Yam
Hare
manyate
Krishna.
mohan.
Yeah. I am able to listen to you, Mataji,
When
but
it
not Prabhuji.
Prabhuji is silent. Some technical problems.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
We are now
Prabhuji.
able to listen to you.
यां मन्यते पतिं मोहान्
Yam manyate patim mohan.
मन्मायां वृषभायतीम्
Manmayam rishabhayatim.
स्त्रीत्वं श्रीसङ्गता प्राप्तो
Stritvam stri sangata prapto.
वित्तापत्यागृहपदम्.
Vitta patyagraha pradam. A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly look upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets.
The jiva attaining the body of a woman from thinking of woman at the point of death out of illusion thinks of my Maya, which has taken the form of man, to be her husband, the giver of wealth, sons, and house. So now the meaning is in this life, there is a man and there is a woman. The man is attached to the woman, so much so that even at the time of death, he is still remembering that woman only. As a result of that, same way that woman is also attached to that same man. As a result of that, after their death, in the next life, the man becomes woman and woman becomes man. And there, the currently who is man who has become woman in the next life, and his wife will become her husband in the next life. And she thinks that, so he is my husband and he will give me the wealth, he will give me children, and he will give me house, he will take care of me in all respects. And there is strong attachment and strong bondage. So it will continue on. So that is what it is. So here both the things are happening. For men who is attached to women becoming women, for the women who is attached to men becoming men, and they again got married, and they are again attached to each other. So that will go on continuously, it will never end. The jiva who thinks of woman at the point of death becoming a woman thinks of that Maya, that woman who now acts as man, as her husband. So like that. So this is a classic case study mentioned in the next canto, fourth canto, the allegorical story of Puranjana. So Puranjana eventually becomes a woman. So that entire story will be mentioned there. So it is like that. So it is for both, not only for men, even for women also. The opposite sex will cause bondage and perpetuate their existence in the material world. So this is what the problem with the mode of passion. The mode of passion binds us in this material world by strong attachment that one will possess for each other. So in that way. Tam atmano vijaniyat
तामात्मनो विजानीयात्
pati patyapatya gruhatmakam
पत्यापत्य गृहात्मकम्
दैवोपसादितं मृत्युम
दैवोपसादितं मृत्युम्
मृगयोर्गायनं यथा.
मृगयोर्गायनं यथा. A woman therefore should consider her husband, her house and her children to be the arrangement of the external energy of the Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is dead for her deer.
Similarly, a woman who want to progress spiritually, who want to attain complete perfection in the very lifetime, if the other family members are not devotees, if other family members are not cooperative, so in that condition, family members are completely in the mode of passion, but the woman is in the mode of goodness and especially want to practice either jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga or bhakti yoga. So for what kind of mentality she should have? She should understand that Maya, in the form of her husband, her children, and her house, supplied by fate, is her own spiritual death. Here, death means not material death, but spiritual death. Just as the deer should understand that the song of the hunter is death. The deer will be captured by playing nice music. The deer will be attracted to the music and the hunter will capture in the net. The same way, the things will capture, whether it is male or female, the material facilities are so attractive, so they'll capture one, like a hunter captures the deer. That is a spiritual death. He should understand that Maya in the form of husband and sons to be death, just as the deer should understand that the song of the greedy hunter, though pleasurable, is death. So like that, Lord Kapila told that for men, the women and other men who are attached to women are like the blind well. So one should be careful. And for women also it is telling that, Lord is telling that the other men and other family members and home and all the objects should be considered to be the spiritual death. So in all respects, one should be careful. Whether it does not matter whether one is male or female, but if at all one want to progress spiritually, especially those who are in front of us along with us, especially if they are in the mode of passion, they are passionate, so they should be dealt carefully. So like that. That is the context in which these words are spoken. So like that we should understand.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु
Then,
जी।
yes, Mataji.
प्रभु जी, आपने जैसे कहा कि अगर ये मोड ऑफ पेशन में जो है मीन्स जो रजोगुण में है वो ऐसा सोचते हैं, बट इट इज फैक्ट कि रजोगुण में हम ऐसे ही सोचते हैं, बट इसके ऊपर आने के लिए उसका वो एसोसिएशन भी तो लगेगा ना इसके ऊपर आने के लिए। एंड इफ सो मेनी चिल्ड्रन पीपल आर देयर दोज हु आर इन सत्वगुण जो भक्ति करना चाहते हैं लेकिन उनको प्रॉपर अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती है ये सब समझने के लिए।
वेट सत्वगुणी लोगों के बारे में हम डिस्कस करेंगे 32nd चैप्टर में. एज ऑफ नाउ rajoguni people only, don't get there, whether they get the opportunity or not, that is
so
different
many
thing.
people are there, they are doing bhakti in rajoguna, they are doing bhakti but they don't know what is sattva. ये सब जो knowledge है वो उनको पता ही नहीं है।
No, wait, even we are not even talking about a person who is doing bhakti in rajoguna. We are talking about people in the rajoguna only, not about those who are doing bhakti in rajoguna.
Okay.
Last couple of verses talked about having told Rishim Narayana Mrute, those who are worshipping Lord Narayana, they are supposed to be they cannot be by Maya in the form of women, but they should be careful while living in the association of women. They should be careful and they should treat the opposite sex like the blind well or the deaf.
मुझे समझ में नहीं आया, समझ में नहीं आया.
See, from the very beginning, we are talking about the person in the mode of passion. The
Yeah.
passionate person always thinks about himself only. There is nothing. I mean, मेरे लिए सब कुछ. ये दुनिया मेरा enjoyment के लिए. I gave the example. Even if he goes to temple, also he will think that a Lord has to fulfill my desires. That is not bhakti in that sense. He is not a devotee yet. But having said all these things, among all the types of attachments, among all the things that cause degradation, the association with opposite sex and association with those who are attached to opposite sex is the strongest. But who is the exception? A devotee of Lord Narayana. But how a devotee of Lord Narayana becomes exceptional? Because a devotee of Lord Narayana treats the association of opposite sex as a blind well, or should treat it like that. Especially in the cases the man is a devotee or want to become a devotee or trying to practice bhakti or jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, but his company is in the mode of passion. So he should treat them as blind well. And if a woman is wanting to become devotee and becoming a jnana yogi or ashtanga yogi, the other family members and home and all the other objects should be treated like the spiritual death. That doesn't mean that Lord Kapila is negating their duties toward the family members. Lord Kapila is only talking about one's emotional attachment to all these people. So from that point of view, we should see.
So we should leave these people?
Hare Krishna, see what you should not live. See, there are two category of people. One is your family members and friends and near one. Other is the people in general. If people in general are in the mode of passion, they will not harm you so much. But in your family members, people, if they are in the mode of passion, they will harm you. So you should be careful in their association.
Okay.
If you are a devotee, you want to spiritually progress, your family members are completely in the mode of passion. They don't know anything about devotion. They don't want to practice any bhakti. Then you should treat all of them like the death, spiritual death.
But we cannot leave them, na Prabhuji. मेरा क्वेश्चन यही है because my शिक्षा guru has the same problem. She's the only devotee in her family. And she's 64 on, but उसके family के member are nobody's offering. तो up till end she struggle कि घर में प्याज लहसुन आ रहा है. She cannot say anything to her. पति भी जब क्लास लेने आती है बाहर तो he is telling पहले मेरा ये करके जा, मेरा वो करके जा. So how to treat them? Because she is patient.
Wait. There are two things. First, I'll give you some example. All of you know fire?
Yeah.
Fire burns?
Yeah, fire burns.
But both the way it burns. It burns in a bad way, it burns in a good way also. So when it burns in a bad way, it burns us only. When it burns in a good way, we get our food cooked. Both the places we have fire. But if fire is used in a controllable way, it can prepare your bhoga and your food.
Okay.
If it goes beyond control, what happens?
It is total destruction of everything.
It will destroy us. Forget about the total. First of all, we are talking about us. It will destroy us. Same way, just like we regulate fire and utilize fire for constructive activities. Similarly, our household responsibilities should be used for constructive way.
Okay.
Even though fire is harmful, if it is under control, it will help us.
Okay.
And for example, as long as the duties are there, this is my little understanding. I may be wrong. All of you are elder to me. You may know better. As long as the household duties are there, so we should be doing the duties, even though the family members are not cooperative, but we should do our duties. But there is something called as retirement. You cannot be in the midst of such kind of people till the last point of death. There is something called as retirement. In the past, people used to take on Vanaprastha ashram. They would give all the household responsibility to the next generation as soon as they are married. So, for example, a householder will have children, they grow and they get married. As soon as they get married, responsibility should be given to them, and the parents should go on pilgrimage. That means they are giving their 24 hours for their spiritual progress. Till now, they were taking care of their responsibilities. Now they should go on pilgrimage, practicing bhakti. Or so nowadays pilgrimage we cannot go, but stay in Bombay only, but preach. I engage oneself in spiritual activities to 24/7 instead of still continue to work for earning more wealth and trying to accumulate a bungalow in South Mumbai or whatever. Not like that. If one want to progress spiritually, forget about this material world. I have nothing to do with this material world. Material world is like a foreign place. Then you become a guest. A guest will never become attached to the host's house. But if you are owner, you will become attached to the host house. So like that. So
Yes.
become
Okay, Prabhu.
retired. Become retired one day.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
I mean, I don't know. This is what I have heard, and that is what I'm repeating. I may be wrong, but all of you know better. So primarily, this whole chapter talks about a living it in the mode of passion. But once in a while, how a devotee has to see these things in relation to his own life. A devotee jiva in the womb, what kind of prayers he does. A devotee, either male or female, in the company of opposite sex who are in the mode of deep in the mode of passion, but not willing to take up bhakti or jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, how one should deal with them. So these dealings may not be physically, but these are at least in one's own thought process, in one's own ideology, one should practice. One cannot give them up just like that. So at a right moment, one can give them up and go on pilgrimage or go on spiritual practices. But till then, one should be responsible. One cannot give up the responsibilities prematurely. Saying that I have become Mahabhagavata and I don't have to worry about my family, like that, not like that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So then what is happening as a result of that? Already example is given. If a man is too attached to woman, he will become woman. If a woman is too attached to man, she will become man. And the opposite sex will become the opposite sex and they will get married to them. And again, there is mutual bondage. It will continue on life after life. That is like repeated cycle of birth and death. So, in that way. Repeated birth and death for the jiva by sakama karma is described. Now, but dire dire, the consciousness is getting better and better. Till now, he was purely in passionate motion, passionate nature. And dire dire, by good association, by coming in the vicinity of some good people, cultured people, they slowly acquire some good qualities. As a result of that, they start practicing sakama karma. देहेन जीवभूतेन
देहेन जीवभूतेन
लोकाल्लोकं मनोव्रजन्
लोकां लोक मनो रजन्
भुञ्जान एव कर्माणि
भुञ्जान एव कर्माणि
करोति अविरतं पुमान्.
करोति अभि अभिरतं पुमान्. Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wandered from one planet to another, following fruitive activity. In this way, he involved himself in fruitive activity and enjoyed the result incessantly.
The jiva wanders from earth to other planets by his subtle body for enjoying the results of his actions, and completing that enjoyment or suffering again returns to the earth to perform actions. If at all, by some good fortune, some people, in spite of being in the mode of passion, performs some charitable activities, some pious activities. As a result of that, they may attain higher birth. But very soon, having enjoyed that the facilities of the higher birth, they will again take birth here in the earth. And by for one sinful activities, one will go to Naraka, having gone through miserable punishments, one again comes back to earth. So this is what happens. So in that way, it's telling. There is a doubt. The Jiva enjoyed the results in Swarga or other places by giving up the body by which he performs sinful or pious acts. What is the logic in that? He should experience the results in the same body. So the question is, hey, how can you say that? I mean, he performed pious activities now or sinful activities now, and he is giving up this body and going to Swarga and enjoying, or going to Naraka and suffering. How come? Because he has performed activities in this body, he should also suffer in this body only. Like that, one questions. The answer is yes. Externally, we may think that he is performing activities in this gross body, but actually, he is performing activities in the subtle body. The gross body is simply an instrument. The subtle body is the actual performer. The ability to perform, it is coming from subtle body. Ability to do any activities coming from subtle body. The hands and legs are only some instruments. So, in that way, he enjoyed the results with a body by which he performs his acts by his subtle body. By the subtle body, he wanders from earth to hell, earth to Swarga, and Swarga to hell, and eventually back to earth. Everything is happening because of the subtle body. He performs actions by the acquisition of the false identity caused by the subtle body. One second. Going to other places is possible because of the jiva's illusion and karma. In that place he enjoys. Finishing that enjoyment, he again returns to the earth. He then performs further actions to get more happiness. Thus he performs actions and enjoys in the subtle body. That is explained in this verse. The understanding is, this fellow in the mode of passion does not have the concept of Atma. But when he comes in the association of some Veda followers, he hears that, hey, anyway, you are trying to enjoy, you perform this so and so charity, so and so, this yajna, this thing, you will go to Swarga and you will enjoy better way. So they'll perform and they will go to Swarga and enjoy also. So, but without any understanding of Atma, so because they are only interested in enjoyment. The enjoyment, if it is coming in Swarga, why will not they go? They will go there also. They do whatever is required to go there. So like that. But everything is happening with the subtle body, and one's enjoyment and one's suffering is also happening in the subtle body. So in that way. Thus, the jiva goes from the earth to heaven, heaven to hell, hell to earth. Like this, the cycle is continuously going on. So in that way. This is how the birth and death takes place in the life of a jiva in the mode of passion. Yes, Mata, you are trying to say something? Okay. जीवो हि यस्यानुगो देहो
जीवो हि यस्यानुगो देहो
भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः
भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः
तन्निरोधोऽस्य मरणम्
तन्निरोधोऽस्य मरणम्
आविर्भावास्तु संभवः.
आविर्भावास्तु संभवः. Translation: in this way the living entity gets a suitable body with the material mind and senses according to his fruitive activities. When the reaction of his particular activity comes to an end, that end is called death. And when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called birth. Hare Krishna.
In this verse, Lord Kapila is giving the definition of birth and death. The subtle body and the gross body following the soul combine together and become the body, senses and mind. The disintegration of this combination is now called as death for the jiva, and its recombination is called as birth. The subtle body, which is the covering of the jiva, and the gross body made up of the 5 gross elements, both of which accompany the jiva combine into one form to form the place of enjoyment and become the body, senses, and mind. It is only when the gross body and subtle body are combined together along with the soul, we can call that is the full person consisting of the gross body, senses, mind, intelligence, and everything. Without that combination, without the gross body, we simply say is preta, bhuta, etc. Something like that, ghostly being. The disintegration of that combination is called death, and the state after leaving one gross body and prior to attaining the next gross body. So what do you mean by death? Death means after leaving one gross body and before attaining another gross body, the interim state is called death. Death for the soul, because the soul has no gross body. And after attaining a new gross body, till the time one is living in that gross body, one is said to be living. So in that way, the living and dead definition is given. Dead means one does not have any gross body. Living means one has a gross body. So birth means getting a new gross body. Death means giving away the gross body. So in that way. In deep sleep, the capacity for actions remain even though no actions are performed. Since when deep sleep is broken, immediately one sees the capacity for actions. So that means giving away gross body means even in deep sleep also we don't remember our gross body. But even though we don't remember our gross body, but our subtle body is still there, and subtle body has the ability to perform activities in that way, we cannot call the deep sleep to be death. Death means the gross body. There is no association with the gross body only, where the subtle body cannot execute any activity without the help of gross body. So in that way, the deep sleep condition cannot be called as death. So like that. So couple of points at the end, Lord Kapila is talking about. So as a result of strong attachment to opposite sex, one goes through repeated cycle of birth and death. So what happens at the time of birth and what happens at the time of death? He is just explaining a little bit. So thus, the appearance of the combination is called as birth. It occurs at the time of coming out of the womb after attaining another gross body, after having given up old ones. So like that. Getting a new gross body is birth. Giving up the current gross body is death. And the time for which one is living without gross body is called a person is dead. The time for which a person is living with a gross body, it is called a person is alive. So in that way, birth, death, and living and dead both are defined. So finally, in the last couple of verses, Lord Kapila says that, okay, at least he had developed a attachment to perform Vedic rituals. As a result of that, one's consciousness little bit grows further. He comes to the top of the mode of passion, and he understands that he is dying and taking birth, and what is dying and what is taking birth is the gross body. The subtle body is something there, and beyond subtle body something is called as Atma is also there. So when this person starts hearing, starts accepting about the distinction between the gross body, subtle body, earth, hell, swarga, and karmic activities, sinful activities, birth, death, living and dead. With that knowledge of all these things, one starts entering into mode of goodness. So the transition from mode of passion to mode of goodness is by understanding all these things. It happens. Understanding of Atma, understanding of subtle body, understanding of gross body, understanding of birth, death, understanding of earth and swarga and hell. Then one starts entering into mode of goodness. So that is being indicated in the last 4 slokas. Dravyopalabdhistanasya
द्रव्योपलब्धिस्थानस्य
द्रव्येक्षा योग्यता तदयदा
द्रव्येक्षायोग्यता यदा
तत्पञ्चत्वम् अहं मानात्
तत्पञ्चत्वम् अहं मानात्
उत्पत्तेर्द्रव्यदर्शनम्
उत्पत्तिर्द्रव्यदर्शनम्
यथाक्ष्णोर्द्रव्यावयवया
यथाक्ष्णोर् द्रव्यवयवा
दर्शना योग्यता यदा
दर्शना योग्यता यथा
तदैव चक्षुषो द्रष्टोर्
दैवा चक्षुषो द्रष्टुर्
दृष् दृष्टुर्त्वा योग्यतान्यनो
द्रष्टृत्वा योग्यतानयो. When eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affections of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity, who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight, loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perceptions of objects occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth.
When gross objects of the earth cannot be perceived by the gross organ of perception because the gross body has been destroyed, it is called death, even though the subtle organs still exist. The technical definition of the death, that means the body is lying on the bed, but the body cannot see, the body cannot speak, the body cannot hear, the body cannot touch. That is called death. By identifying with another gross body, birth takes place. This is the cause of seeing gross objects again. Again, that jiva is able to see things only after when he gets a new gross body. Till then, in the interim state, he cannot see. Similarly, when the gross eyeball becomes incapable of seeing gross objects because of some disease, the subtle eye sense organ of a person becomes incapable of seeing. That means, even though Atma is there, subtle body is there, because the gross body is not functioning, the subtle body and soul cannot do anything. Just like, even though the subtle ability to see is there, but the eyeball is not working properly, the fleshy eyeball got damaged. When you replace that damaged eyeball with a new eyeball of somebody else, then you start seeing. Similarly, when this body cannot function anymore, we have to give up this gross body and take a new gross body which can function better. And then we start seeing, start hearing, start speaking, start smelling, start touching, start walking, start collecting things, start jumping. All these things we can do with that new gross body. So that's called as that. That is how the death and birth are defined technically. So like that. So now transition from rajas to sattva. How the jiva moves from rajas to sattva. When it happens, when we understand all these things. So what do you mean by death? What do you mean by birth? What do you mean by living? What do you mean by dead? What do you mean by going to Swarga? What do you mean by going to Naraka? What is sinful activity? What is pious activity? How does the pious activity will take one to Swarga? How does the sinful activity take one to Naraka? What kind of punishment one goes through? What is karma? How does karma functions? And what is the grass body, subtle body, and Atma? How the transition between how the transition in the grass body takes place? How the subtle body develops a new grass body? All these technical things, when a person understands and becomes careful because of all these things, careful with respect to all these things, then the person start entering into mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is characterized by knowledge. Mode of passion is characterized by activity to fulfill one's material desires. Mode of ignorance is characterized by nidra, alasya, pramada, inattention, laziness, etc. So like that. तस्मान्या कार्यतन्त्रासो
तस्मान्यकार्यसन्त्रासो
न कार्पण्यं न सम्भ्रमा
न कार्पण्यं न सम्भ्रमा
बुद्ध्वा जीवगतिं धीरो
बुद्ध्वा जीवगतिं धीरो
मुक्तसङ्गश्चरेदिह.
मुक्तसङ्गश्चरेदिह. Translation. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. Hare Krishna.
Because there is no real birth and real death for the subtle body and for the soul. The subtle body and soul does not go through birth and death. The birth and death are only in connection to gross body. When gross body starts functioning, that is called birth. When gross body stops functioning, that is death. So birth and death are only defined in terms of the gross body only. So since there is no real birth and real death for the subtle body as well as for the soul, one should not be horrified and one should not become miserable, or one should not be eager to enjoy in this material world. So three things. One should not be horrified, one should not be too much miserable, and one should not be eager to enjoy in this material world. Understanding that the subtle body and the soul never take birth and never die. Understanding the goal of the jiva, the goal of the human life, with intelligence, becoming dhira, one should move in this world free from attachment. A person in the mode of passion is characterized by attachment. It is because of attachment only he is performing all the activities, na? As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, the mode of passion is characterized by attachment. It is because of attachment only, so one performs all the activities to fulfill one's material desires. Rajo ragatmikam viddhi Krishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadnanti kaunteya karma sangena che dehinam. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi Krishna sanga. Krishna means desire. Sanga means attachment. Rajoguna binds us in this material world because of two things. One is desire, second one is attachment. As a result of that, karma sangishu jayate. One continues to perform karma in order to fulfill one's desires, in order to remain in the company of those sense objects. That is what happens. But one should understand that this should not be the goal of life. Understanding the real goal of life, with one's intelligence, one person should remain detached while living in this material world. Even though one may have to go from one species to other species, but still remain detached. Should not be too attached to people or objects of this world. Because the people's grass body, people to which we are attached with their grass body, and the things of this world are also grass. They are taking birth and dying. Subtle body is eternal. Subtle body is long living and soul is eternal. Understand that and become attached to Atma, which is eternal, instead of becoming attached to the temporary grass body and the grass objects. So one who understands this will enter into mode of goodness. So now what? Samyak darshanaya buddhya
Samyak darshanaya buddhya
yoga vairagya yuktaya
yoga vairagya yuktaya
maya virachite loke
maya virachite loke
chare nyasya kalevaram.
charenyasya kalevaram. Endowed with the right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world. Hare Krishna.
One should move about in this world made up of Maya. Maya virachite loke charet. One should move, one should live in this world which is made up of Maya while giving up attachment to the body of one's own the body of one's family members, and the bodies of the material objects, the way, the home, the vehicle, the bank balance, the properties, etc., etc. Okay? While giving up attachment to the body by utilizing the correct vision, yuktya samyak darshanaya, and by utilizing the intelligence, and by taking shelter of yoga and vairagya. Yoga vairagya. What do you mean by that? Since one understands that Atma does not take birth and does not die, therefore, one should not be horrified. Kalevaram nasya means giving up attachment to the body. Then, so what is taking birth and dying is grass body. That is the nature of the grass body. But that the subtle body is long living and does not go through birth and death, and soul is also long living and does not go to birth and death. So remain attached to, at least as of now, to the subtle body and the soul, but not to the grass body, and live in this world with this proper understanding. Those who decided to live in this world with this understanding are said to be in the mode of goodness. So this is how the transition takes place from the mode of passion to mode of ignorance. So like that. And then it is not that people in India or people anywhere in the world does not know all these things. Knowing one thing, but acting based on that knowledge is a different thing. Acting based on that knowledge is called mode of goodness. Even a person in the mode of passion may know all these things, but does not act on that platform. One who does not act on that platform is said to be in the mode of passion. One who is acting on the platform of knowledge is said to be in the mode of goodness. That's how we have to understand. Not that a passionate people does not know about birth and death, and the passionate people does not know about hell and heaven. They also know, but they can't act upon that. They act on the spur of the moment, driven by their personal desires, personal motives. So like that. So this is how we have to see the distinction between mode of ignorance and mode of passion. How from ignorance to passion they gradually develop, and how from passion to goodness they gradually develop. That's how we are seeing the teachings of Lord Kapila in these chapters. Now this chapter is over. We will see from chapter 32nd few verses how the person in the mode of goodness who just acquired the qualities of mode of goodness, how does he live his life in this material world? Any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you.
And no questions today?
Prabhu,
Hmm.
the section that we read just now,
Hmm.
it's very difficult to follow, Prabhu. Like, I don't know.
When we follow, we are said to be in the mode of goodness. Otherwise, we remain in the mode of passion and ignorance.
Acha. Oh. But it seems like gold standard, Prabhu, not to be horrified by death.
This is not even gold standard. This is little better than iron standard.
Acha?
This could be like aluminum standard or bronze standard. Not even silver standard.
There is something higher than this?
We'll discuss what is silver standard in the mode of goodness.
Okay, Prabhu. Right.
Okay. Now we'll discuss few verses from chapter 32 today, and we'll continue next Sunday the remaining chapter. So, in one sense, this is the last chapter which Lord Kapila is speaking to Mother Devahuti. In chapter 32, Lord Kapila speaks about the returning to the world by Sakama Karma and not returning to the world by Nishkama Karma, and criticizes the non-devotees. So now, from the very beginning, Lord Kapila already talked about Bhakti Yoga. He also talked about Jnana Yoga. He also talked about Ashtanga Yoga. Now he is talking about the so-called Karma Yoga. So in that Karma Yoga, there are three divisions. First is Vikarma, second one is Sakama Karma, third one is Nishkama Karma. The people in the mode of ignorance, outrightly they perform vikarma. Vikarma means sinful activities. Viruddha rupena karma. The Vedic literatures are they are saying something, and these people do exactly opposite. Viruddha rupena karma karoti iti vikarma. So then, even the people in the mode of passion also do the same thing. They do everything opposite. The parents say something, children will do something else. Society will say something, the people do something else. Driven by their own personal ambitions, personal motives, without considering what is good for the entire society. They are only driven by personal ambitions. They are not concerned about others. So, but somehow or other, by good company, maybe at the upper edge of the mode of passion, they start acquiring little bit mode of goodness, little bit, an iota of mode of goodness. As a result of that, even though without understanding, they start giving some charity, they start performing some Vedic activities. As a result of that, for small time, they will either be taken to Pitraloka or Sargaloka, or they will get birth in aristocratic family. But when they develop the knowledge about birth and death, when they develop the knowledge about the distinction between the grass body, subtle body, hell, heaven, earth, Atma, etc., etc., not even Paramatma, even up till Atma only, they start entering into mode of goodness. So in the mode of goodness, more or less, they develop respect for the Vedic literatures. Then they listen to some Vedas. The Vedas primarily teach about perform this ritual, you will go to Swarga, perform this ritual, you go to Pitraloka, perform this, you will get this, perform this ritual, you get job, perform this ritual, you get good wife, perform this ritual, you get promotion in the job, perform this ritual, you get a son. The follow? Yam imam pushpitam vacha pravadanti avipachita vedavada ratapartha nanya sastiti vadina kamatmana sargapala भोगेश्वर्य गतिम प्रतिक्रिया विशेष बहुलम. So like that. So they are called as sakama karmis. They are only interested in getting good, getting more prosperous life, more life of more enjoyment. They are called sakama karmis. But one step better than them are called nishkama karmis. So nishkama karmis, at least they are not only self-interested, but they are also interested in society. They say that okay, we will also enjoy, you also enjoy. They also perform some welfare activities for the society. They are nishkama karmis. But especially those people in the mode of goodness who understand about Atma, who understand about the eternality Atma, who also understand about the concept of moksha, they start endeavoring for attaining moksha. And they are called as Nishkama Karma Yogis. There are three or four categories. Vikarmis, Sakama Karmis, Nishkama Karmis, and Nishkama Karma Yogis. Only those who are Nishkama Karma Yogis, they endeavor to attain liberation. They endeavor to go back home, back to Godhead. They kind of prepare themselves and work accordingly in order to go back to Godhead. But all other, they are only interested in happiness here. Ignorant people want to get happiness by killing others, by robbing others. Passionate people want to get happiness in spite of harming others, in spite of playing with the emotions of others, in spite of exploiting others. And people who are in the betterment of the passion and beginning of mode of goodness, they say that okay, no, we'll perform Vedic rituals and get happiness. Will not harm anybody, will not destroy anybody, but we perform Vedic rituals only for happiness, only for our happiness. So one step better are, so we'll also enjoy and you also enjoy. We'll perform Vedic rituals for my enjoyment and for your enjoyment also. They're like they are little bit selfless. And dire as the selflessness increases, they think about actually forget about all this enjoyment. This material world is temporary. Let me go back to Godhead. Let me attain liberation. Then they start and they start endeavoring for attaining liberation, and they are called as Nishkama Karma Yogis. Now yoga means now they developed a desire to go back to transcendence. Yoga means those who possess the desire to go back to transcendence, either Vaikuntha or Brahman. They are called as yogis. So these different states of people in the mode of goodness we will see in this chapter. First, Sakama Karmis. First 4 verses talks about Sakama Karmis. Next section talks about Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then one section talks about the worshippers of universal form. Lord actually criticized the Sakama Karmis and somehow, okay, better is compared to all these Vikarmis, Rajoguni, Tamoguni, all Vikarmis and Sakama Karmis, the Nishkama Karma Yogi is better. So in that way, Lord kind of details. And then he gives a quick summary of what all he has spoken till now, and he gives the final instruction to his mother. With that, the chapter ends. So, having explained the results of condemned sinful activities in the last two chapters, 30 and 31, now Lord Kapila explained the results of the prescribed activities with material desires. Here, only people in the mode of passion, sorry, in the mode of goodness, they start practicing the prescribed activities. They say, hey, why are you doing all these things? Hey, because Vedas say so. Whether it is material ritual or spiritual activities, they have faith in the Shastra. They have respect for Shastra. And they do since it is said in the Shastra. This is the primary quality of mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means knowledge, and mode of goodness means faith. Both. There is knowledge and there is faith also. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvam prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnanti jnana sangena chanaga. They are always attached to jnana. They always want to understand more and more what Vedas are saying, what Shastras are saying, and they try to follow whatever they understand from the Vedic literatures. As a result of that, they are sattvam, there is goodness within them. Nirmalatvam, there is not so much contamination, there is not so much material ambition, material desires. And prakashakam, their heart is enlightened with knowledge. Anamayam, they are not subjected to so many material miseries. The material miseries in association with the sinful activities are not so much with these people. And relatively, they are they are situated in a better happy state compared to the people in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. So this is how we have to understand who is in the mode of goodness. The first and foremost things are they have respect for Shastra, they have faith in Shastra, and they follow what Shastra says. And other two people, difficult, no way. Now, what kind of things they do by following Shastra? Kapila Uvacha.
Kapila Uvacha.
Atayo Gruhamediyan.
Atayo Grahamediyan.
Dharman evavasangrahe.
Dharman evavasangrahe.
Kamam artam cha dharmam swan.
Kamam artam cha dharman swan.
Dhokti bhuya pipartitan.
Doggi bhuya pipartitan. The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of the household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts in the same way.
So, the simple definition of a Sakama Karmi is that person who only performs, who only executes Dharma, Artha, Kama. He has no inclination for moksha. Those people, they are following the Vedic injunctions only, but they don't have any inclination for moksha. Such kind of people are called as Sakama Karmis. He who enjoys Artha, Kama, and Dharma as a householder while living in his house, again perform those actions for more Artha and more Kama. These are called as Sakama Karmis. Living in his own house, he enjoys the results of various dharmas, dharma, artha, kama. He performs dharma as a result of that he gets artha, and he enjoys and fulfills his kama. Again performs more dharma, again he gets more artha, again he fulfills more kama, again performs dharma. That is how life goes on. Setam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam kshine punne martalokam vishanti. Evam trayi dharma manu prapanna. Trayi dharma means dharmartha kama. Anu prapanna again and again. Kama kama labanti. So again and again, in order to fulfill their desire after desire, they continue to perform Dharma, Artha, Kama. Life after life. Just like after grazing the cows in the field, one milks them. And then again, after getting the milk, one puts them back to graze so that he will get milk next day. So today whole day we send the cows for grazing, and when the cows come home today evening and tomorrow morning we get the milk. Again tomorrow throughout the day we send them for grazing. Again we get the milk. Again send them for grazing. Again we get the milk. That means they perform dharma. They go to sarga. They get more artha. They enjoy their kama. Again they come down to earth. Again they perform dharma. Again they go to swarga. That means they get artha. They enjoy there. They fulfill their kama there. Again they come back. This cycle of going to Swarga and coming back continues for the rest of eternity. That is Sakama Karma. Tachapi Bhagavad Dharmat
Tatapi Bhagavat Dharma
Kama Moda Paranukam
Kama Muda Paranmuka
Yajate Kratubir Devan
Yajate Kritabir Devan
Pitrumscha Shraddhayanvitaha.
Kritim Sa Shraddhayanvitaha. Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore all day they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers. They are not interested in Krishna consciousness, devotional service.
Bewildered by desire, Kama Moda, he rejects worship of the Supreme Lord. Even though sometimes the same Shastra is talking about worshipping the Supreme Lord, but they don't listen to such kind of statements of Shastra. They only listen to Yam Imam Pushpitam Vacham, Pushpita Vacha, flowery lovers of the Vedas, and instead very faithfully worships the Devatas and Pitrus, Devan Pitrumscha Yajante, with faith, Shraddhayanvita, and by executing sacrifices, Kratubir. They are firmly convinced about worship of the Pitrus and Devatas, but they are not interested in worship of the Lord Vishnu. Even though both are told by Shastra, but they are attracted to Devata worship so that they can go to Swarga and enjoy more and more. Such kind of people are called as Sakama Karmis. Though the person performs activities according to scripture, he is also to be criticized for his performing Sakama Karma only, neglecting the Supreme Lord's worship. Like that. Because they are worshipping the Devatas and Pitrus with great faith by executing all the Vedic rituals such as sacrifices and giving charity and performing austerities, vrata, etc. What will happen to them? The end result is what? Tashraddhaya Krantamati
Tachraddhaya Krantamatihi
Pitradeva Vrata Puman
Pitradeva Vrata Puman
Gatva Chandramasam Lokam
Chandramasam Lokam
Somapa Punareshati.
Somapa Punar Eshyati. Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon where they drink an extract of the som plant. They again return to this planet.
Overtaken with such faith, dedicated to the Pitrus and the Devatas, a person goes to the moon planet, drinks Soma beverage, Somarasa, and then falls back to earth. With complete faith, having worshipped the Devatas and Pitrus by performing so many yajnas, charities, and austerities, finally they will be taken to Chandraloka, that is called Pitruloka. There they will relish Somarasa as long as their piety is there. As long as their piety is over, again they will take birth on the earth. Tetam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam shine punne martelokam vishanti. It's like that. Having drunk Soma on the moon, the Somarasa on the moon, he falls down to the earth again. So this is what happens to the Sakama karmis. Sakama karmis, they perform Vedic rituals, but they go to Swarga and come back. Like that, life goes on. Yada yada chahidras shayyayam
यदा चाहीन्द्र सय्यायां
sete nantasano hari
सेते नन्तासनो हरिः
tada lokalayam yanti
लोकालयं यान्ति
sayete grihamedinam.
येते गृहमेदिनाम्. All the planets of materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets, such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Shesha.
When the Supreme Lord lies down and Ananta to sleep, at the end of Brahma's day, all these planets attained by the dharmic householders are destroyed. So, like this, the Sakama Karmi, the performer of Dharma for the sake of Artha and Kama, who is also called as a Grihamedi, might be going to Swarga or Pitruloka and coming down, again going, again coming down. This kind of going and coming down will continue till the end of the day of Brahma, as long as Lord Shesha is holding the Bhumandala. Then finally, at the end of the day of Brahma, Lord Shesha becomes very angry. I am holding the Bhumandala painstakingly so that the Jiva will go back to Godhead, but this fellow is going up and down, chakkar mar raha idhar. He becomes very angry and he gives up his service. The entire Bhumandala will submerge into Garbhodaka ocean and everyone will die. So whatever going up and down will only happen throughout the day of Brahma. At the end of the day of Brahma, everything will be annihilated by Shesha. That's what he's telling. What is the use if the planets are destroyed? The planets they attain are covered with water at the end of the day of Brahma. The destruction takes place at the end of each Brahma's day. Planets including Swarga are covered with water. So if the planet itself is there, not there, where they will go? So they will also die at the end of the day of Brahma. And they have to wait till the next day of Brahma begins. So like that. So this is the ultimate destiny of Sakama Karmis. Don't think that it will, unless until they make a special endeavor to change themselves, they cannot be changed. They continue to go up and down because the attachment to Vedas and Vedic injunctions to perform the sacrifices is very strong and enjoy the Swarga is very strong. Then they keep going up and down only. It is very difficult. But somehow, by good fortune, they developed a desire to come out of this cycle of going up and down and start taking shelter of some sadhana known as Nishkama Karma Yoga, which will give them the moksha. Because they have spent a lot of time with Dharmartha Kama, now they start endeavoring for moksha. And such kind of persons are called as Nishkama Karma Yogis. So here you see these verses are there in the Bhagavad Gita, 9 chapter 20 and 21st verse. Vidyam Somo Paputa Papa Yajna Rishwa Sargatir Patayanti Te Punya Masade Surindar Lokam Asam Divyan Divya Bhogan Chetam Bhukta Sargalokam Vishalam Shine Punya Martalokam Vishanti Evam Trayi Dharma Manu Prapanna Gata Gatam Kama Kama Labante. And also one verse from 8th chapter. Dhumo Ratri Tata Krishna Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tata Chandramasam Jyotir. So giving up their body during these times, they go to Chandraloka and enjoy Somarasa there. Again, Yogi Prapya Nivartate. That is that kind of person. Again, he will come back. He cannot stay there for long. He cannot stay there for eternity. He will come back. Now, having described Sakama Karma practitioners, Lord Kapila now describes the Nishkama Karma practitioners. The Sakama Karmis are performing yajnas and charities and austerities to go to Swarga and enjoy. So what do the Nishkama Karma Yogis do? So let us do. Let us see. Ye swadharman duyanti
ये स्वधर्मो न दुह्यन्ति
धीरा कामार्थ hetave
धीरा कामार्थ हेतवे
nissanga nyasta karmana
निस्संगा न्यस्त कर्माणा
prashanta shuddha chetasa.
प्रशांता शुद्ध चेतसा. Those who are intelligent and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness, freed from the modes of material nature, They do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act.
Intelligent people, dhira. Dhira means those who are endeavoring for attaining moksha. This is the simple definition of the word dhira. Dhira means, even though we may say that they are sober, sober means sober for what? They are sober for attaining moksha. So the intelligent people who do not desire the results of their prescribed actions for artha and kama, having offered all the results to the Lord, being free from attachment, are peaceful and pure in consciousness. They perform all the dharmas mentioned in the Vedas, but they do not want to enjoy the results. Instead, they aspire the purification of their heart. They perform all the Vedic rituals as a matter of duty, not to enjoy the results. As a result of that, their heart is slowly cleansed. They become peaceful, they become detached, and they become pure, and they start working for attaining moksha. They do not desire the results of their actions of dharma, na duyanti. They are unattached and offer the results of their actions to the Supreme Lord. That means they perform the duties and they say that the results are meant for Lord's service. So, like that. So, this is the first step of Nishkama Karma Yogis. Then, what as a result of that kind of lifestyle, what will happen? Nivritti Dharma Nirata,
Nivritti dharma nirata,
Nirmama Nirahankrita,
nirmama nirahankrata,
Swadharmaptena Satvena,
swadharmappena satvena,
Parishuddhena Chetasa,
parishuddhena chetasa,
Suryadvarena Te Yanti,
suryadvarena te yanti,
Purusham Vishwato Mukam,
purusham vishvato mukam,
Paravaresham Prakritim,
paravaresham prakritim,
Asyotpatti Antabhavanam.
asyotpatti antabhavanam. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution.
Yeah, here it is said, engrossed in the actions of detachment, Nivritti Dharmena Nirata. Always they continue to perform those actions which will take them towards mukti or moksha. With no sense of possessiveness or ego. There is nirmama, there is nirahankarta. There is no aham mameti concept in them. Because they don't want to stay anymore in this world. They want to go to transcendence. So there is nothing to say, this is the I, this is mine. So, I mean, one who want to give up this place and go back to Godhead, why would he say that, oh, this is mine, that is mine, that is mine, that is mine, that is mine? If he starts saying this is mine, he will stay here only. So that's why, with no sense of possessiveness or proprietorship, or with no sense of ego, I am engineer, I am doctor, I am this, I am that, I am father, I am husband, this, that kind of things are not there. With consciousness purified completely, Parishuddha Chetasa, having attained sattva guna by the performance of prescribed duties, Swadharma aptena satvena, going by the path of the sun, they attain the perfect Lord, Surya Dvarena Te Yanti Purusham Vishwatomukam, the control of the higher and lower beings, Paravaresham, who is the material cause, Prakritim, and the efficient cause, Utpatti Antabhavanam of the entire universe. Of course, the whole process has not been mentioned, but here the thing is like that. A householder, when he leads his life like this, always following Nivritti Dharma, that means he is performing the rules and regulations prescribed by the Vedas just for the sake of performing them as a matter of duty and offering all the results to Supreme Lord, and he does not have any possessiveness and does not possess any false egoism, huh? And with pure consciousness, as a result of that, at one fine day he will give up all his household responsibilities to the next generation. He will take on to Vanaprastha or sannyas order, then practices full-fledged 24/7 Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, they are described in the previous chapters. So the result of Nishkama Karma Yoga is the qualification to take to Vanaprastha or Sannyasa order so that one can practice full-fledged Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga without having to take care of any household responsibilities. Then, as a result of practicing Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, like Bhishma Dev was waiting for Uttarayana, taking the help of Uttarayana, daytime, bright fortnight, in the presence of light, giving up the body, taking the help of sun, this person started slowly moving from Bhuloka, Bhurloka, Swargaloka, then enters into Maharloka, then Janaloka, then Tapaloka, then Satyaloka, and eventually going beyond Satyaloka enters into Brahman. That's how one attains liberation. If a fortunate soul with a desire to go back to Godhead, they will also enter into Vaikuntha. All that will takes place by the practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga selflessly. Gaining knowledge, they attain the perfect Supreme Lord. This means they actually attain liberation. Shruti also says, Surya Dvarena te viraja prayanti tatramruta purushohi avyayatma. Purified, they go by the sun planet to the place where the indestructible immortal persons reside. Taking the help of sun, they move from Bhuloka to Bhurloka to Swargaloka, and then on their own they go to Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and then enter into Brahman, which is the indestructible, immortal abode of the perfected yogis and jnanis. So like that they attain. They attain the Lord who is the material cause of the universe and the efficient cause of the universe. Some attain Brahman according to their inclination, some attain Vaikuntha according to their desire. The same thing is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 8:24. How these Nishkama Karma Yogis and Jnana Yogis, Ashtanga Yogis, having perfected their life, attain Brahman. Agnir Jyoti Ahas Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Jana. The Brahma Vido means, so Brahma Vido means Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis means those who are aspiring to attain moksha, having understood the nature of absolute truth. So till now in the mode of goodness, we saw that a person who understands about Atma enters into mode of goodness. And then performs Sakama Karma. But a person who understands about Atma and Paramatma and about the Paramatma's residence, Vaikuntha and all these things, then they practice Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and also Bhakti Yoga, then they eventually attain perfection. So for that kind of, especially those people who, Brahmavadis are those who practice Nishkama Karma Yoga as householder, then practice Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga as Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. So these are known as the knowers of Brahma, Brahmavadis, the Jnanis, who depart on the path of the fire and light, the waxing fortnight and the northern progress of sun, attain Brahman, Brahma Gachanti. That means they attain Sahajya Mukti. Deity of the light, day, waxing fortnight, Uttarayana, Brahma and Brahman, so etc. So 8:25 speaks about the path of written by karmi. This we have already read. The Sakama karmis go through path of darkness. Nishkama karma yogis, jnana yogis, ashtangis go through path of light and attain Brahman. These people attain moon planet and come back. So then the next verse kind of summarizes both the process. Shukla Krishna gati yete jagata shashvate mati ekaya yati anavrittim anya avritam punaha. So one person, these two paths, the path of light and path of darkness, are considered eternal in this world. By the path of one, by one path one does not return, by the other path one returns. Those who goes through path of light, having attained Brahman, one does not return. Those who go through path of darkness, having attained Chandraloka or Swargaloka, one automatically returns as soon as their piety is over. So this is how the destiny of Sakama Karma is and Nishkama Karma Yogis are briefly indicated in these verses. So we'll stop here. So we have discussed a lot today. Hare Krishna. Okay, clear?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Prabhuji, please explain that Surya Dvarena and all that. I
The
didn't
Surya Dwara
understand.
means the same thing. Like Bhishma, when he waited till Uttarayana, what happens? The sun is traveling from south to north. That means sun is going away from Bhuloka, enters into Borloka, then enters into Swargaloka. So instead of the Atma going on its own, Atma takes the help of sun. The sun acts like a rocket. So the yogi gives up the body and enters into sun, and in 6 months, sun goes to the topmost point of Sargaloka. And then from there he goes to Maharloka, then Janaloka, then Tapaloka, then Satyaloka, and eventually leaving Satyaloka behind, enters into Brahman. That is Sahajya Mukti.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
Yes, Mataji.
दंडवत प्रणाम. एक क्वेश्चन है प्रभु जी, जो लोग इसमें क्या बोलते उत्तरायण में मृत्यु होती है उनकी, बट दे आर नॉट डिवोटीज.
Sorry, don't talk about devotees as of now. We are talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. We are talking about them. They aspire to go to Brahman and they need to follow this path. Devotees don't do all these things. The devotees just give up their body remembering the Lord. Anta Kalecha Mameva Smaran Mukta Kalevaram. They don't perform this Chakra Yoga. They just remember the Lord and leave the body. And Garuda will come and take them, or Vimana will come and take them.
Okay, Prabhuji, but my question is, if one person is non-devotee, he dies in Uttarayana, what is his course?
See, dying in Uttarayana is not important. While living, when one is a householder, one should practice Nishkama Karma Yoga.
Yeah.
And then, as a Vanaprastha or Sannyasi, one should practice Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And they will give up their body in Uttarayana time period. Then, taking the help of sun, they'll go. Not just by dying in Uttarayana. It is like lifetime practice. Not even one lifetime, it is a multiple lifetimes practice.
Okay, Prabhuji. But if
same way for a devotee also, Antakalecha Mameva Smaranmukta. It is not that anyone who remembers the Lord at the time of death, not like that. One who has practiced throughout one's life bhakti very seriously and had strong desire to go back home back to Godhead. With that strong desire, one remembers at the time of death. One gives up the body remembering the Lord at the time of death. That person will be taken to Supreme Lord. The Lord will not take forcefully anybody. Even though a person does not want to go to Vaikuntha, but if his family members are forcefully telling him, remember Krishna, remember Krishna, remember Krishna, even if he remembers Krishna, because he does not want to go, Lord Vishnu cannot take him to Vaikuntha. So that's how we have to understand.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Hare Krishna.
We should spend our whole life to fulfill this one desire to go back to Godhead. Then one can go back to Godhead. Not at the time of death. Alone. Okay. Any other devotees? Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी. एक कोई इंसान नॉर्मल अपना डेमीगॉड वर्शिपर और उस तरीके से अपना जिंदगी पूरा गुजारता है और एंड में उसकी डेथ के पहले वो थोड़ा टाइम हरे कृष्णा महामंत्र सुनता है, तो उसका क्या डेस्टिनी होगा?
Because he has worshipped devatas a lot, he might go to Swarga sometime and he will come back and he will take birth again in the family of devata worshippers. But he has little bit inclination. In the next life, he may again get the association of devotees. If he becomes serious, then he will become devotee.
Okay. Because why I'm asking, if sometimes we preach and somebody is dying and we keep Prabhupada tape near him, so what will be like? He will be benefited, na? He or she will be benefited.
See, benefit is there, but it's very less. You kindly remember the Bhagavad Gita sloka. Yamyam vapi smaran bhavam tajati ante kalevaram tam tam eveti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. What is your mentality throughout your life is what you remember at the time of death. Even though forcefully we may want them to remember Krishna at the time of death, but at the time of death he will remember the entire life. Your bhakti activities are only 1%, but 99% are lifetime activities are there, na? In comparison to 99, what will 1% will do? But that person, 1% will not go away. That 1% will remain as 1% only. In the next life, yeah, there is a chance if he comes again in the association of devotees, he may start practicing some more bhakti. So like that we have to see.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Madhav Mishra Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Yes, Prabhu.
हाँ प्रभु जी, गौरंग प्रभु एक बार बोल रहे थे कि जैसे मृत्यु होने का टाइम है ना, पूरा हमारा जितना जिंदगी में जितना एक्टिविटी किया है वो रील के में भी घूमता है और
Yes.
पार्टिकुलर उसमें रुक जाता है, ऐसे होता है क्या?
Particularly,
एक जगह पे रुक जाता है।
yeah, whichever thing we have done for the most of our time, lifetime, it will stop there. Of course, on a positive note, Gaurang Prabhu might have this he says many times. If we see Lord Jagannath in the Ratha Yatra, and throughout the life we
उस
may
टाइम
have done
में
so many other things, but Lord Jagannath will stay in front of our eyes. This is a preaching strategy. The preachers, in order to inspire at least to go to Jagannath Puri to participate in the Ratha Yatra, they will tell like that. Of course, there is a
this
good
event
chance
will be
that
explained.
if that impression is very strong, it can retain, it can remain. But if that impression is also a pass by, so it will also go away. So like that.
Hare
Yeah.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You can hear me, no, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Prabhuji, in case of Bhishma Dev, he was waiting for Uttarayan. So what was the, how we can understand that, though he was a pure devotee of the Lord Krishna,
Okay.
and why he was waiting for Uttarayan to come so that he can take the, he can go to Lord's abode.
No. See, you are talking about Bhishma from Mahabharata, or you are talking about Bhishma from Bhagavatam?
Bhagavatam.
So, in Bhagavatam, Bhishma is not waiting for Uttarayana. In Bhagavatam, Bhishma is waiting for Krishna to arrive.
I see.
In Mahabharata, Bhishma was waiting for Uttarayana. In Mahabharata, Bhishma is taken as an example of a Jnana Yogi and Ashtanga Yogi among the Karma Yogis.
Okay.
The householders are Karma Yogis. But Bhishma is a renounced person. He is not a householder, but he is living along with the householders. So he has set up, he has to set an example of a Nishkama Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, and Ashtanga Yogi. How should one lead the life and how should one attain perfection? That's what he did in Mahabharata. But when it comes to Bhagavatam, he is a Mahajan. So his bhakti sentiments have come out. He was waiting for Krishna to come. Krishna came. By the way, Uttarayan also came and he gave up his life.
Yeah, right. Right.
So like that.
Okay,
So
thank
every
you very
scripture
much.
Mahabharata is meant for Nishkama Karma Yogis and those who are actually Sakama Karmis, to inspire them to become Nishkama Karma Yogis eventually, so they will become Jnana and Ashtanga Yogis. But Bhagavata is meant for those who are already become devotees.
Okay, right. Thank you.
The person may be same, but he is giving different teachings for different people according to time place circumstances.
Okay.
Parishit Maharaj is listening Bhagavatam in the Bhagavatam, and Parishit Maharaj is residing in a Vantistamba Meda, one pillared palace in the Mahabharata. So many times we confuse because every scripture has a different purpose and for a different audience. So accordingly we have to see.
Okay.
Wow, thank you for this explanation, Prabhu. This is new for me. Thank you.
पढ़ना अभी भारत में जन्म लिया तो कम से कम महाभारत रामायण तो जानना चाहिए. कम से कम 10 बार तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा था रामायण महाभारत A to Z every shloka translation. It is expected that whoever is born in India should know Mahabharata, Ramayana and Bhagavatam Kantastha. May not be shlokas, but the theme should be known. In my childhood, I'm sorry to say like this, I'm not boasting myself, but in my childhood, all the elderly people, whether it's men or women, like grandparents and all, they know everything. Whenever there is an opportunity, whenever there is no electricity and all, nothing else to do, all children would sit around them and they would tell stories from Mahabharata, Ramayana. Whenever. So it's like that. So like that we should know. Indians should know Ramayana, Mahabharata and Bhagavatam storyline, at least if not philosophy, but the storyline A to Z properly. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Thank
Prabhu.
you very much.
Better late than never.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, बहुत time हो गया. Thank you very much. We'll meet next Sunday. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj
Prabhuji,
Srimad Bhagavatam
Prabhuji,
ki
one question.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, one question. My grandmother recently died. She was a devotee. She used to chant around 4 to 8 rounds daily, and since 15 years, she used to this fast for Ekadashi. And so last 15 minutes of her life, I could do kirtan for her. So what will be her destiny, Mane, according to you? What probably?
I am not a judge to give any judgment and all. We can understand because these people must have led their life in a pious way, in a sattvic way, having mode of goodness in their mentality. By good fortune, they also had their family members devotees. So that will never go away. Again, they will take birth among the human beings because they have led a pious life. For some time, they get higher birth if they want. If they had a desire to have higher birth in heavenly planet, they may get it. Otherwise, they may take birth in aristocratic family, and then, as and when they get association of devotees, they will take up it serious. They will take it seriously, and they progress further.
Thank you.
So in
Thank
that
you.
way, we can. It's basically what we are now is what we get in the future. So in that way, we have to understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad
Dandrat.
Bhagavatam ki jai. So devotees in Bombay are all